In the summer of 1973 at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, a small group of military officers gathered in defiance. Not of their country, but of their command. They were U.S. Air Force insiders, veterans, engineers, and analysts who believed that the nation was building its fighters all wrong. Their beliefs weren't ideological. They were mathematical, practical, and based on real dogfight data from the skies over Vietnam. These men, Colonel John Boyd, Major Ray Leopold, Captain Tom Christie, and analyst Pierre Spray, they would later be called the Fighter Mafia. And like many groups given diverse nicknames, they warred with pride. What they saw troubled them. By 1973, the U.S. Air Force was pushing forward with the F-15 Eagle, a heavy twin-engine air superiority jet weighing over 40,000 pounds. That's 18,140 kilograms. And that's empty. It was fast, powerful, packed with radar and missiles. But it cost nearly $30 million per unit at the time. More than $200 million today. The Mafia believed such complexity was not only expensive, but dangerous. Vietnam had proven it. Despite technological superiority, U.S. pilots had scored air-to-air kills at a rate barely better than 2-to-1 over North Vietnamese MiGs. In World War II, that number had been over 10-to-1. Something went backwards. Enter John Boyd, known as 42nd Boyd, for a bet that he made in the U.S. Air Force Fighter Weapons School. He claimed that he could defeat any pilot in simulated air combat in under 40 seconds, starting at a disadvantage. He almost never lost. But Boyd's deeper impact came from his work in energy maneuverability theory. It's a mathematical model that defined how aircraft performed in real combat, not on paper, but in split-second aerial turns, rolls, and accelerations. He and his allies proposed something radically different, the lightweight fighter program. The idea was to build a small, agile fighter with an empty weight under 20,000 pounds. That's under 9,070 kilograms. High thrust-to-weight ratio, no radar, and limited beyond visual range missiles. Why? Because 90% of air kills occurred within visual range. And technology-heavy planes, they couldn't turn fast enough to win those fights. By 1974, Congress, they authorized the Lightning Fighter program under pressure from figures like Senator Barry Goldwater and fueled by inter-service rivalry with the Navy's success with the F-14 Tomcat. The Air Force commissioned two prototypes, the YF-16 from General Dynamics and the YF-17 from Northrop. The YF-16 first flew on January 20th, 1974, accidentally. During a high-speed taxi test pilot Phil Ostricher lost control and had to take off to avoid crashing. That unscripted first flight led to accelerated evaluations. The YF-16, with its relaxed static stability and fly-by-wire controls, proved that lighter, more maneuverable, and more efficient than its competitors. In 1975, it won the competition. The F-16 Fighting Falcon would become one of the most successful combat aircraft in history. Over 4,600 units built, flown in 25 countries, and still in production more than 50 years later. But guess what? The Mafia's work wasn't over. Pierre Spray had also championed close air support, a mission often neglected by the Air Force. He was instrumental in the AX program, which birthed the A-10 Thunderbolt II, affectionately called the Warthog. And my Marines out there, we all know about the Warthog. Designed around the GAU-8 Avenger, a 30-millimeter rotary cannon weighing 620 pounds, 281 kilograms, and capable of firing 3,900 rounds per minute, the A-10 was built to survive hits, loiter over battlefields, and kill tanks. It flew for the first time in 1972 and entered service in 1977. The Warthog is still operational today, thanks in part to its titanium bathtub armor. And the lesson the Fighter Mafia never stopped repeating: combat is not theoretical. The Mafia's impact was not limited to hardware. Boyd's OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, it became foundational to modern combat theory, influencing everything from Marine Corps doctrine to actually business strategy. Still, not all stories ended in victory. Many in the Fighter Mafia faced resistance, career stalls, even dismissal. Boyd retired as a colonel in 1975. Spray left the government work soon after. Their designs were altered, their ideas diluted, taken by others. Typical for government work. But it didn't matter, because their ideas endured. Today's F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II are spiritual descendants of the Fighter Mafia's philosophy, at least in part. But at over $100 million a plane, they also represent the very complexity and cost that the Mafia warned against. The Fighter Mafia taught the Pentagon and the public that performance, it's not about promises. It's about physics, proof, and consequences. They weren't rebels. They were reformers who risked everything to build fighters that could actually fight. And though they never wore medals for it, those designs saved countless lives. These are Interesting Things with JC.